Hey warriors, let's talk about patience versus waiting. Specifically, when does patience become waiting? Now, I consider myself to be a relatively patient person. Some things I'm a little impatient about, but generally if I'm waiting in line for something or I've put in work for something and I'm waiting to see the results, I can be fairly patient about that. But when does patience become waiting? And I might be splitting hairs here, but I do believe that there is a difference. And I believe that sometimes we tend to use patience as an excuse for waiting. Now, I believe that patience is the quality in which we wait. So if you're standing in line waiting for your Starbucks and you've placed your order, you're standing there quietly, gracefully, you give your order, and then you wait 5 minutes or so to get your beverage. That's patience. You are waiting with the expectation of receiving something that you've put in work for. You have a relatively decent idea of when the time frame is, what you're getting, when you're getting it, the quality of what you're getting. And you're just simply gracefully waiting for that expectation to be met. Now, waiting is something different. At some point, patience becomes waiting, and I'm guilty of this. I would say, oh, I'm just being patient. And it's 3 months, 6 months, 7 months, 10 months, 12 months later. I wouldn't stand in Starbucks waiting, 3 hours for my chai tea latte, but I was standing proverbially in line at Starbucks for 3 hours waiting for things that I had put work into. Well, that's not to say that I don't jump, because I do jump. I went to Egypt on my own for 2 weeks. I moved to Nashville sight unseen, but I do wait too long. I don't know if I'm waiting for signs, but I was definitely waiting out of fear. And what that waiting was there was no expectation. The reasonable expectation was gone. So if I put in my work, for example, if I've done my work and my performance review came back excellent and I'd done all the things I was supposed to do, how long do you wait for a promotion? How long do you wait for that next thing to happen? You patiently wait because there's an expectation of maybe in 6 months after a performance evaluation, you will get promoted. Or maybe you've been in a relationship for a long time and you're waiting for the other person to meet your expectations. Maybe it's a proposal, maybe it's moving in, whatever it is. And that reasonable amount of time has stretched into being unreasonable. And reasonable is subjective, but it's unreasonable to wait 3 hours at Starbucks for your beverage, right? So when does it become unreasonable in your life to wait for an expectation to be met? If you've met the requirements for a promotion and you're still patiently waiting 6 months, 12 months, 2 years later, patience became waiting. And you began waiting out of fear. But what was the fear, right? Was it the fear of getting out of your comfort zone? Was it the fear of, if I give up too soon, I'm going to miss my opportunity? That was the one I told myself a lot. If I give up too soon, I'm going to miss my opportunity. I can have what I want if I faint not. But the problem was I was going to faint from the waiting. Every indication was perfectly clear to me that I wasn't going to have that expectation met. Right? It's perfectly clear that if you're still waiting for your chai tea latte at Starbucks after the place is closed and you're standing outside waiting for your latte, you're not getting it. So are you being patient or are you waiting for whatever the reason? And we have to look at why we wait. And we wait because out of lack of confidence, or we wait because of self-limiting beliefs because we don't think we're ready. We don't believe we deserve it. We think if we give up too soon, we're going to miss our opportunity. I just got to wait a month more, just 2 months more, just 3 months more. And then 5 years, you're still in this state of wait. And you've waited so long, then now you're in the habit of waiting and you can't break it. And this is what I call, this sort of cycle of fear and foolishness. Fear is about what goes on up here. That is what mentally prevents us from grasping whatever abundance is out there for us. Foolishness is about how that manifests in our life, how that plays out in our lives. Self-sabotage, habits that don't serve us, staying comfortable, staying in places, not experiencing shift in our lives. So I want you to really explore and ask yourself, at this point, are you being patient or are you waiting? And the difference is that flexion point of when patience becomes waiting is when a reasonable amount of time of waiting has become an unreasonable amount of time of waiting. And only you can decide if it's reasonable or unreasonable, and then only you can decide to act.